Hi, welcome back to the Chasing Tone podcast. I'm Travis.
I'm Max.
And I'm Brian.
The man behind the tone curtain.
Hash brown wrong.
You cannot deny this any longer. I am going to compile a list of email. Actually, the sad thing is I can go into my inbox and just type in tone curtain and at least 15 emails come up because it's caught on. It's not even catching on anymore. It's caught on.
Just because there's a funny Instagram picture doesn't mean it's cool.
It was cool before the funny Instagram picture.
No way. I'm sorry. Somebody actually posted hash brown not wrong today. It's great.
Proving that that's not catching on.
Hey, speaking of that, you had a really cool thing happen to you. And you're at
I
the
did.
Guitar Center.
I did, yeah. I was in my local Guitar Mart. And
That's Guitar Center.
That's Guitar Center, yeah, and I won't say which one. But I was looking at some used pedals, and actually an employee came up to me and goes, "Hey, hash brown wrong." I said, "What?" And I turned around and I'm like, "Oh, from the podcast." And they're a fan. So then I got hooked up with a used wah pedal, so that's kind of cool.
You bought a wah?
I did.
Say wah.
Say wah.
Beat you to it.
I know, dude. I've been sitting on that one. He stole it from me. Just proves again that I can't have any original content.
That's because you're wrong.
Because I'm hashtag wrong.
In my defense, though, you've been saying "say what?" You've been saying that for any wah pedal related joke for the last. How long have I known you?
Well, forever. But the thing is, it's like that one lick that I've been trying to fit into a song. It's gonna fit somewhere. But no, you had to steal my thunder. It was like the guy that waits to start a clap in the clap scene on a movie. You stole my clap, dude.
Did I ever tell you about this lick? Okay, it's this descending lick that's. I don't know what's going on with it, but
I don't know.
We were doing this gig together, and it was probably the most jerk thing I've ever said to Max. Second most jerk thing I've ever said to Max. But probably third or fourth.
Yeah, probably third or fourth.
I can think of some others. Sorry, but but he does this lick, and I look at him serious as a heart attack. I was like, "Hey, bro, we're in G."
But to my defense, Travis during gigs has told me, like, he's like, "Hey man, well, the song will be an A," and he'll be like, "Hey, for this next solo section, try pentatonic in D minor or something weird." We're like, yeah,
that'd be Dorian. Yeah,
then it didn't work.
No, that works. No, E minor works. Okay, so like. Okay, basically I was like saying, Dorian mode or whatever, the way to think of it. And I'm not going to get too geeky because there's going to be so many people out there be like, I'm hash brown wrong for saying this. But a lot of stuff around E minor will work when you're playing an A minor and you flirt with the Dorian mode within that. So when Max was, kind of learning theory and stuff, we'd do gigs and I'd during a solo section, I'd say, hey, you should try this. You should do this. Well, there's one time we were playing and we're like an A. I was like, dude, if you play C sharp pentatonic right now, it sounds so good. And of course, the look on his face was pure panic.
Yeah. I was like, this isn't right.
But he trusted me enough because over the years I've told him to do these things and it always worked. He trusted me enough that he kept fumbling through it, thinking that
somewhere it's got to work.
Yeah, somewhere it'll work.
Because Travis wouldn't tell me anything wrong.
Exactly. And then he looks at me and I literally had a tear rolling down my face from laughing so hard.
Hashtag jerk. I don't know why we're even friends.
That was awesome. That was funny. That was probably the second meanest thing I ever said to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the first one. We were walking in JCPenney. Is that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That or the time they made fun of me at the doctor's office.
Oh, man. Can I tell that story?
I don't know.
So, it's your personal info,
I don't care. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Max is a cancer survivor 3 times. Okay? I'll clap for that, man. You're like, yeah, that's awesome. So we're at the doctor's office and we're standing in line, and I forget what it was or something, but I don't remember. But anyways, you said something you said, well, yeah, I have cancer. I was like, no, you don't have cancer, dude. You don't have cancer anymore. You're like, no, I'm just in remission. He was like, cancer patients, they have cancer, then they go into remission. And I said, so basically you're an alcoholic. He said, what? And I was like, yeah, like alcoholics are always alcoholics, or just in recovery. So you're like an alcoholic.
Basically, cancer is like alcoholism.
Yeah, I said, so basically cancer is like alcoholism. And of course, I'm just joking, right? Obviously just joking. Max knows I'm joking.
I'm cracking up.
And we're both cracking up. But the problem is, we were in a pharmacy.
Yeah,
the problem
pharmacy.
the pharmacy was full of people. And they looked at me like,
oh my gosh,
like
you were the biggest a-hole in the world.
Yeah.
The lady behind the counter stared at Travis like, I was like, oh man, get your medicine, let's get out of here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so Yeah, but that was probably the meanest thing. But anyway, we are so far. We're not even off topic because we've not even been on one.
And that's the show.
And thank you for listening. No, thank you. Good night. So, the big to do in the MI industry, man, is I'll just come right out and say it: dishonesty with products.
Yeah,
that's the big to do right now. I don't know how many people are. Belong to a site called The Gear Page. It's thegearpage.net. Great resource.
That's where it started, yeah. Now it's kind of everywhere. Huge Racks, I think it's on the Huge Racks forum, which is about gear and not
just guitar.
boobs. Okay.
Okay.
I think it's called Huge Racks.
See what you did there, like Rack Effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rack Effects, exactly.
Yeah.
So just like if you go searching for Huge Racks, be aware that we're talking about gear.
Don't do a Google image search on that.
Don't search that at work.
NSFW. But basically, and I'll kind of break it down and correct me if I'm wrong. And I think, it's all over. Like you said, it's all over. It's the really big thing right now. But basically, there was this company, and they were rehousing a Wawa. Basically, they were taking a bigger company's existing Wawa, and then they were taking the step pad off of it and the label, and then replacing those, and then gooping the electronics, and then selling it as a new product.
I think so, yeah. I mean, they rebranded it as their own.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. They rebranded it as their own product. It wasn't like, hey, this is a recase or because companies like JHS, they do rehousing and recasing,
right,
and they'll put right on it, and that's part of their service, and it's awesome because you can revive an old pedal, and
that, like with Josh from JHS, it's not like he's taking a DS1 and saying, "Oh, this is our thing." It's got we made these capacitors by hand.
Exactly.
We have
exactly. But this company, not Josh.
Yeah,
Josh is doing everything on the level. And
this is the other company.
But this other company, they were taking an existing pedal and literally not changing anything on it, and then saying that it was their own product made by hand in their facility.
As I understand it, yeah. I know,
and I know in some he did change the inductors on a couple, but that was known as his NOS version.
It could be. From what I've read, and keep in mind, I really don't have the time to go through 140 pages of people beating up a guy.
Right.
So I kind of got the too long didn't read version, which is that a guy that's well known on like free stomp boxes. He's a DIYer, and he opened his up, and he opened up the
other brand,
the company that was selling the $75 wah.
Yeah.
And he had the $300 version or whatever it is. And he de-gooped it, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah,
same thing.
And not only was it the exact same thing. Here's the extent of it.
The circuit board still had the company,
right? Like for instance, if you crack open a Wampler pedal, it's gonna say on the PCB, it'll say Wampler.
Or something like that.
Or something like that. Or if it's the slow distortion, it'll say slow distortion on it. So it's easily identifiable. And when this DIYer opened up both of these and de-gooped it, it's not like it was the same thing with the same values. It was the exact same circuit board with that other company's name
confirmed by the other company as well.
Yeah, confirmed by the other company.
And so the company that was doing the rehousing, I could be
rebranding.
Yeah. So what they're doing is it got to a point where the company was getting caught in things, and so they would kind of try to explain it away and be like, well, no, that's not true, and that's not true because of this.
Right, and then finally,
he's like, all right, you caught me. I'm a liar. I screwed everybody over. I got it, and, which is admirable.
Of course,
that's a really hard thing to do. Is be like, okay, I've been lying to everybody, and I'm sorry.
Well, and the thing is I don't know if it's coincidental or not, but. And the thing is this guy was tied in with some unbelievable artists.
Right.
And some of these artists now have come out of the woodworks and said, hey, we're no longer involved.
Right.
And one of them went on to to basically write a big letter stating this,
Right.
make
and
it
I think
public.
he started giving money back to people
Yeah.
that
He
bought
did.
the product.
He said,
right?
people who bought my signature product, I'll give you the money back if they won't. Which, dude, that's so
That's
stand
huge.
Oh my
up.
gosh, yeah.
That is so stand
yeah.
up, right? But and the reason I'm bringing this up isn't to harp on anybody, isn't to say, oh man, how dirty. But the one thing I want to ask you is, well, okay, I'll tell you how I feel about it, and let me see if you agree or disagree for that matter. I feel like it's a major slap in the face to the whole boutique industry across the board, across any level, because people have a hard time paying $200 for a pedal, that was made in America, that was designed, that's boutique, whenever they can go buy, a Chinese brand that's a quarter of the price. That
Right.
of course the quality is going to be, and we've talked about that before.
Right.
So it's like people have a hard enough time doing this. And then a guy comes along and says, here's my made in America product that was really just a Chinese product rehoused. And it's like, to me,
I think Chinese. I don't
okay,
recall.
well, I don't know.
I don't recall if
but-
they're
okay,
Chinese
yeah,
or not. But,
maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I'm way off on that.
but I do know it was a much cheaper product that was basically
Right.
renamed. So,
Right, exactly.
For the most part. Even if it was modified, it was renamed.
Right.
Which I don't know if that's fraud or not. It
Yeah,
may be bordering on some sort of fraud law. I don't know.
And the
I'm not a
thing
lawyer.
is,
So.
Exactly. Don't take us the wrong way, but that's none of our business
Yeah, I
to
mean,
get into.
I have no idea.
But-
I just know that as a business guy, okay, here's how I look at it.
Mm.
It's really not hard at all to get a PCB made. It's real easy.
Right.
You make a layout,
and there's
you send
computer
it out.
programs that will assist you in it.
Yeah, or you can even go on you could have you could have us lay out a circuit board for you, and we'll charge it a small fee, and you get your own stuff, and I mean it's not hard. Or you could even go
Yeah.
to build your own clone and buy their circuit boards for that. Or Mad Bean is another one I think they may have
General
circuit
Guitar
boards.
Gadgets. all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff.
I mean, and you can get your own circuit board and build one, or have someone build them for you.
Yeah.
And that's really like the way to do a business.
And in this day
I
and
don't,
age-
I don't understand why that wasn't done that way. It doesn't make
Well,
any sense at all to me.
The guy actually explained himself a little bit, and I mean, from what I gather, is basically he did it once or twice, and thought to himself, it's the same thing I'm going to do. I'm going to get the boards printed up. It'll be the same, but it'll be mine. But
Yeah,
he
but
said
how-
that,
I mean, how-
I know, I'm not excusing it,
Yeah.
but he said the demand came in so fast that he didn't have enough time to do it, and he just got overwhelmed, and then
Okay.
it just snowballed. But I mean, and to me, that's basically just the old classic story of a lie leads to a lie leads to a lie
It
leads
kind of
to a lie.
is. I mean, at what point you're like, well, it's okay to rob the bank because I have bills to pay.
Right. Let me backtrack a little bit. When we were talking about the signature artist, and Max brought this up. I hope I'm not throwing you under the bus here, but it's too late. But Max brought it up. He was like, I wonder if that artist went to the manufacturer and said,
Yeah.
I'm going to blow the whistle. I'm going to do it next week. You have until then to do it.
Right.
Come
You know what I
right,
mean?
make it
Because
right.
the evidence was out there. Everything was out there. And this artist knew about it
Yeah.
before the guy
He
came
had-
clean.
He had his own guy. If I'm reading it right, he had his own guy at a music store, do the comparison, make sure that's the right thing.
Yeah, he heard about it and
debunk the rumor.
Yeah, the artist was trying to debunk it and say no, it's not the same thing. And he had a very trusted friend in tech,
And so the
Reverse.
tech actually said,
Yeah,
it's
same
the
thing, man.
exact same thing.
Oh,
so,
my gosh.
Yeah, so the
Wow.
artist.
that really frustrates me.
Yeah,
I
so-
mean,
yeah.
I know you guys see it, but I don't think the average person understands how hard it is to explain to someone why a $200 pedal
And
is
that's-
better than
Oh,
a
yeah.
$30
That's
pedal.
exactly what I was saying. And then just where I said I almost feel insulted a little bit.
It is, because you have the huge amount of people that think that boutique pedals are just crap anyways.
Yeah,
they're
like it's all spin. It's all marketing.
Yeah, and you have a company that does this that basically proves what that
Exactly.
other people are thinking, and you're like, no, my gosh, why are you making this so hard?
And that's why I wanted to discuss this, because I've been keeping up with it. And obviously, number one, it does interest me, and number two, it's part of my job.
Right,
To stay
right.
on top of things like this. But like I said, I'm still on it, still paying attention to it, because it does interest me. And I see a lot of frustration,
Yeah,
and I just kind of
definitely.
want to know want the customer out there to know that the industry professionals, whether it's us or anybody. Well, I can't speak for anybody else, but myself personally, it does frustrate me as somebody in
I
the
know,
business.
and I talk to a lot of other owners of pedal businesses.
Yeah.
And from the ones I've talked to, they're all just as hot under the collar as I am, because it takes
a step back.
It makes the whole industry look bad.
Yes.
The reality of it is we're all painstakingly, if we're doing a clone, we're not just like, you know what, let's just make a tube screamer. Who cares what it sounds like? We understand that layout matters, the exact parts matter.
Well,
I mean, all that stuff matters.
Yeah.
And
the thing is too that I can't stress enough is, there's friendly competition between every builder, of course.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the weirdest industry I've ever seen, because you think that it would be cutthroat, and everybody's competitive. Don't get me wrong, but how many times has another company owner called you and said, "Hey, what would you do here?" How many times have you called a different company owner and said, "Hey, what would you do here?"
Right, and we all kind of do that. We're all like, "Hey, man, I'm
How's
having this
dealer
problem.
work
How did
out
you
for
guys
ya?"
handle this?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we are really weird. We do that.
It's a community.
And I actually thought guitar builders were doing that. And I think I told you this story. So I got the number of a very well-known guitar manufacturer, and I called him up and like, "Hey, what's going on, sir?" And I thought, I'll just bounce some things off of him that I'm wondering about, because I know he's been here.
But he seems cutthroat, dude.
And instead, he was like, "Tell me all your numbers. You know what? You guys are doing everything wrong, and I need to buy your business." And I'm like, "What? Whoa! How did we get here? I don't want to sell my business to you. I'm trying to talk to you like a friend."
Yeah.
There was no sort of...
Really?
There was nothing like that at all.
And I'm sure you know who we're talking about.
I think I got an idea.
Yeah, you probably do. Yeah. So...
But anyway, so I mean, that's the thing that I can't stress.
And not that he's not a great guy, just that really struck me as an odd thing. Because in the pedal community, we're not that way.
Right.
I can call up Jamie from Earthquake and be like, "Hey, man, what'd you do in this situation?"
Right, exactly.
Or vice versa.
Well, there was a pedal that I bought from Jamie, actually, and I loved it. And I said, "Dude, this pedal's amazing." You said, "I want to hear it." You heard it. And you even told me, it's like, "This one depresses me." I was like, "Why?" And you're like, "Because it sounds so good." So you actually, and I've heard you say that a few times about a few different pedals. You'll be like, "Oh man, I'm depressed." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "If you played this," I'm like, "No." He's like, "Play it," and then I'll play it. I'm like, "Man, that sounds really good." You're like, "I know." But with Jamie, you actually called or texted him, I think, and you said, "All right, what'd you do?" And then if I'm not mistaken, I think he told you.
For the most part, yeah.
I mean, obviously he's not going to...
He's not like, "Here's the parts, build your own." But,
Yeah.
but he's like, "Dude,
He's like, the secret's in this.
Right.
Figure that out, and that's it."
Yeah.
Which, I mean, nobody would do that in any other industry.
No,
you know what I mean?
No. But I mean, we all understand that it's not like we're building, equipment for the space shuttle. These.
But one thing I do want to tie in back to what the whole dishonesty thing is we're not making stuff for space shuttles, but we are trying to make original designs for the working musician. We are trying to make, and not even just the working musician, just people who want quality gear.
Right.
And the thing is when we I mean, here's another thing about this business. There's no textbook.
Right.
Nobody in this industry knows what they're doing.
No offense. Everybody is basically, it's like
Flying
the
by the seat of their
wilderness,
pants.
and everybody's blazing a trail through the wilderness.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go back to 1995 or 1985 and say, "Well, here's what pedal companies did back then in this situation."
Right, like the
because
automotive industry,
changed.
you can do that. You can look back, anything like that. So really, nobody knows what they're doing. They're just figuring it out.
We're just flying by the seat of our pants.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of it, and that's the terrifying thing about it.
Because sometimes you're like, "Ooh, I shouldn't have done that."
And that's the thing. It feels like, I don't know, man. It feels like it set everybody back,
Yeah, definitely.
So
what I'm taking from this dishonesty thing is that they were #wrong.
They were
#wrong. #wrong. Yes, sir.
And that's how we circle back.
Yeah, boom. Yeah, that's See, that's where you need your sound effects board.
Say what? I seriously, dude, I need one of those master control things with like 16 buttons of my 16 favorite sounds.
Dude, I have a MIDI controller. I can make this happen.
I want like big red buttons for everything. And with labels on them, like fart.
Okay, well, why can't it just be like a keyboard?
I'm not that smart.
No. I'll take Sharpie marker.
That'd be awesome.
Play the middle C on that.
Yeah, no, I won't even do that. I'll get labels and I'll write, clown honk.
Clowns scare me.
Huh?
Clowns scare me.
Clowns scare you?
You're like your bear. You don't like bears. I like clowns.
I'm terrified of bears.
And sharks.
No, I'll take a shark. I'll whip the crap out of a shark.
It's true.
I will.
Jump over.
Seriously, you punch them in the face or poke them in the eye, they're done. You know what I mean? But a bear, they will stalk you.
Unless it's a gummy bear, I'll kill a gummy bear.
Yeah.
I've killed whole bags of gummy bears.
Bullcrap, dude. If you saw a life-size gummy bear coming at you, you'd run.
Not even.
Yeah, I think Max would probably be like, oh, hell yeah. Here we go.
I need my gun.
Dude, remember when we went to Tennessee? I carried 2 guns.
You did.
One on each hip in case we ran into a bear.
They're both small calibers. I'm like, I don't think that would take down a bear.
Dude,
It doesn't make it mad.
happened. Dude, I'm telling you, they weren't that small caliber. It wasn't like it was a 22.
It was a 9mm.
It was a 9mm.
I won't take down a bear.
Dude, you mean to tell me, what is it? I got 15 plus 1, 32 rounds. Ain't going to take down a bear?
I don't know, dude.
Let's do it. Let's go find a bear. Let's do it. Video it for
I'm
YouTube.
pretty sure the animal cruelty folks
Oh,
will
yeah, good point.
not let us do that.
Good point. Yeah, we take that part back. Except for the bears. I'm terrified of bears.
That's in Chicago. You could probably take a couple of those out.
yeah. Even Buffalo took them out week 1.
I think they call that manslaughter, though. I don't think you could do that.
Yeah.
Brian, that's football.
Yeah, I've
football.
That's like hand ache.
Just don't mess with that Brandon Marshall. He'll get even. Sorry, that was bad. You should be watching. You should be paying attention to NFL. There's a lot of upstanding citizens in the NFL this year.
I keep noticing a lot of guys are getting suspended and stuff.
Sorry,
Here's
more
my
like
question:
basketball.
if you guys follow NFL, you can send me the answer to this if you know this at podcast@wamplerpedals.com. But I think Ray Rice might have been the person that went up and whooped Adrian Peterson's kid to get the heat off of him.
I have.
Oh, dude, you can't crack those jokes.
Oh, come on, that's funny. Okay, so here's what happened. Ray Rice. There's video evidence of Ray Rice. He punched his then fiance.
Oh, in the elevator, right?
Yeah. Well, Adrian Peterson allegedly, because like I said, allegedly, hit his 4-year-old child with a switch, and you should see the pictures, dude.
Pretty brutal.
There's welts. I mean, it's broke the skin, but it happened like a week after everybody was harping on Ray Rice, so that's why that's funny. Ray Rice did that to get the heat off him and get the heat on. That's.
Gotcha.
Maybe it's not funny. Is that funny?
Oh, hugeracks.com. I get it now.
Say what?
Say what? It's clever. It's like, oh, barbecue.
Now watch. Did I ever tell you that story?
Yeah. About the barber pedal.
Yeah, that was funny, man.
Yeah.
But,
So what's weird about that situation that we were discussing is that a very, very similar situation happened about 3 years ago.
And that was before I was in the industry, like as a professional. And I remember it, but I couldn't have told you what brand it is. But I know you could. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and it's frustrating because
you get.
I know the one guy was around at that time to see that happen. I mean,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I don't understand how you could look at that and say, "Well, I won't get caught." You know, I mean, I don't know, man.
I mean, at that point, well, I don't want to say that because that makes it sound like it's name calling. But what makes a person think that they're going to get away with it when another person can?
Greed, man, or ego, one of the two, or both.
Yeah,
could be.
So, and you said it, not me.
I mean,
that's true.
If it was me, and I was starting out, I would. It's so easy. Just even if you just wanted to be like, all right, that's the pedal that I want to clone. I'm going to pay these guys a little bit of money to make me a layout, and I'll have this company build it for me and ship me, 50 of them or whatever.
Dude,
there's a lot of companies like that around.
Yeah, one of my friends used to work for a company, and I mean, I think you can find their stuff in Best Buy and Walmart. I mean, in Meijer, I don't know, but I mean, it's a company like that. But basically, he told me literally, he was like, we should do a pedal like this. Well, I can say this. He was like, we should do a pedal like the OCD. Mm-hmm. So he told his boss, and he didn't know how it worked, Right. He thought, there was designers that did it. So a week later, he was like, here's your prototype. And he's like, how'd you do that so quick? He's like, I called the factory in China, sent him a schematic, told me to build them. And he was like, really? He's like, yeah, we built 200 of them. I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, who play tests them? He was like, nobody. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, so not only did you, because I don't know, I mean, I'm sure even if you're not in the industry, you can understand the base. This is just the complete basics of how it goes, and I'm leaving out a ton of steps.
Yeah.
But basically, Brian sits at a breadboard, figures out what sounds good, has a prototype build, one prototype build. It comes back. We like it or we don't like it. Let's say in this case we love it. It's perfect.
Right.
Which is
rarely
ever.
We should mention that when we say we have a prototype built, there's a guy that works for us that he lays things out for me.
Yeah.
And he builds the prototypes.
And the
for
reason
me,
being, and not trying to take away anything that he does, because he's awesome at his job. He's unbelievable at it. But he does it because you're busy designing other circuits.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I can't. there's too much going on for me to just do that.
Right. So, like I said, simplifying. Let's say we get it back from him.
Plus, he's reading those layouts way better than I ever thought about.
He's pretty smart.
Yeah. I mean, he's a genius.
Yeah,
so.
it's fun. I can ask him a part number from a discontinued pedal, and he'll be like, "Oh, that's this." I'm like,
exactly.
I didn't know that.
My favorite thing he
and
does
it's not. Oh, go ahead.
If you do the math, Max, it all adds up. I'll ask him a second question. I'm like, the math doesn't work on the pedal.
And the thing is, too, I'm doing this through a Skype instant, message, so it's not like he has time to look it up. He just knows this stuff.
He just knows it off the top of his head.
Okay, so Brian has the circuit. Prototype comes back. We absolutely love it. Then things go into place, and then manufacturing. So but it's play tested. Most of the time, like the 30-something. When I first started working here, it was my first day. I sat in front of, at that time I think we had like 19 or 20 pedals, and you were like, yeah, play them, take notes, da 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 da. What a rough job, right? And then after I was done with that, I'm so overwhelmed. He hands me this orange pedal with like 5 knobs on it. He's like, check this out. And then he was like, it's supposed to be, this kind of sound. And I was like, it's okay. And you're like, it's missing something in it. And, I just got the job, so I didn't want to be a jerk. But I'm like, yes. But and that was a year and a half before the 30-something was released. So that prototype came back.
Yeah, there was a million of those prototypes.
Yeah.
I redid that circuit so many
3
times.
years is what you were telling me, or something like that, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But
it started with the cranked AC, which oddly enough, we're going to reissue 100 of those here in a couple months.
101.
100. No, only getting 100 circuit boards. So
I'm going back out to your barn tonight.
And only direct.
I'm going back out to your barn to do some more YouTube videos. Don't watch me when I leave, and don't take your modified Big Muff with you. That's all I'm saying.
You like that Big Muff, don't you?
I like the Muff, the Big Muff.
That's funny thing is because it's like the black. I think it's a Russian version, right?
Yeah.
So it was like one of the lesser expensive ones, but I did some changes on it. And he played it, and he's like, "This isn't stock, dude. Did you do something to this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I made some changes on it."
It was funny because I played it. I was like, "Oh, I gotta get one of these." Wait a minute. Because it didn't feel right. It felt better, you know what I mean? It just did, and then of course it sounded better. But I mean, we were playing through $high amps, $high guitars,
like Gorilla and
like a Gorilla and dude. Oh, all our British fans. This is for the British fans. I'm not going to take the time to explain it, but I bought a guitar. Talking about lesser brand guitars. When last time I was in England, I bought like this guitar. It cost like £80, and it was called a Jack and Danny. And I didn't understand why that was funny, but everyone listening will know why that's funny, and I'll explain it to you later.
Okay.
But so it's
I'm
not
sure
like we were playing a Jack and Danny through a Gorilla.
Okay.
But no, so if I would just, or I could just, you could keep the casing, and I could just steal the guts.
Or I could just build another Big Muff.
Prove it.
I have a Big Muff. You need a modified mine.
Boom.
#wrong.
I love the awkward silence.
It's so weird. I was like, just goes to prove that you love Travis more than me. I was like, oh my gosh,
Now,
it's weird.
if it was my Big Muff, it would have been already modded.
I have 2 Russian Big Muffs. I need mine.
Do you the silver one or the black?
The black ones, yeah.
Do you for real?
I do, yeah.
I'll buy one.
There's like the first thing I always do with those is make sure the bias is right on each stage.
Well, what I do is give it to you so I don't burn the traces out with the PCB. Because my soldering looks like Hershey Kisses.
Dude, your soldering is awesome.
It really is. Because I use like too hot of an iron.
I'm not going to show Brian my soldering anymore. I showed Brian my soldering one time. He's like, sweet, man. Looks good. We should get some, you should do some modifications. And I was like, oh, that's not me to solder that. Because I don't want to do that. But, okay, sorry, off topic again. But anyway, you know, I just wanted listeners and customers and, you know, that are familiar with this situation. I kind of wanted them to know, and it sounds so cliche, but be like, dude, we got your back on this. We understand how you feel because we feel the same way. And not only do we feel bad for you, but we feel insulted by it. You know, at least I do personally, and I think you.
Yeah, it burns me up.
Yeah, because I mean, we try so hard to do something, and then this happens,
and it makes the entire industry look bad.
Yeah, man. So please, please, please don't lose faith in your favorite builder. You know,
yeah, I mean 99.999% are not doing that.
Right.
You know, most of them are just like us. We're designing things, and just all the details are extremely important to us. Play testing, everything. Everyone is. Nothing is done in a cheap way. You know.
Right. I mean, that's what makes it so hard.
That's what. Yeah.
Because, for instance, I mean, you've discontinued pedals, and there's a reason for that, because their performance wasn't that great in the sales or whatever it is. And I'm not going to call them failures, because sometimes it's just a mistake that leads to something better.
Right.
You know, so that doesn't mean it's a complete failure. But there's a pedal that, you know, most recently that, you know, we just discontinued that you absolutely hated, you know, but so it's like, not everything we do is awesome. Not everything, you know, but like I said, that's why I feel so insulted, because we take the risks to go out there and put out something new. Like, for instance, the Velvet Fuzz, completely original design. Nobody's done that, you know? And that was a risk, because it's not a fuzz face. It's not a big muff. It's not a tone bender. And granted, people seem to really like it, so that's great. But you also did a risk with another fuzz that didn't work out so well.
Right.
And it's like, it's frustrating to me. It's like, so we could have bought another company's fuzz and rebranded it because we knew it worked.
Could have, but that's just not the way I like to do things. Yeah.
Well, of course
I'd rather sit in front of a bedboard and
exactly.
I'd rather be the guy that makes something and it either fails or does good.
And that's what I'm saying, and that's why it frustrates me. It's because we go out on a limb and we make some stuff that's awesome, and then, you know, some stuff that may not work as well as we wanted it to work. And then there's other cats out there that are just taking, you know, existing products.
Right.
And I don't know that I'm sure it goes on in other industries. I'm just unaware of it because I don't follow them. But like I said, you guys, I just wanted to let you guys know we kind of got your back on this one. I'd love to hear what you guys think of the whole situation, if you're hip to it, or even if you're not, you know, what your takes are on it. Were we too hard on this situation, or, you know, or did we beat around the bush too much? You know, let me know. Hit me up at podcast@wamplerpedals.com for Max and Brian.
Yeah, hey, can I throw something in real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I wanted to mention to anyone who might be listening to this that if you want to get updates on these podcasts, make sure you go to wamplerpedals.com/subscribe.
Yeah.
And I'll send weekly emails with the newest podcast.
Right, and also look for our new Facebook page and our Instagram. That's going to be coming out pretty soon. So we'll get you the URL when that's all up. And thank you guys so much for listening.